Hello. Now we are talking about another story from the Pointed Vision. The book name is Pointed Vision. In this book, The Pointed Vision, the third story is Under the Banyan Tree. Under the Banyan Tree is written by R.K. Narayanan. R.K. Narayan was born in 1906 in Madras to a school teacher of a village named Rasipuram. His father's name was Krishnaswamy Iyer. Hence, the R is here name stand for Rasipuram and K for his father Krishnaswamy. In the place of Narayan Swami, he calls himself Narayan. As a student of Narayan was not brilliant. As a student, Narayan was not a brilliant. He failed both in high school and intermediate examination. He graduated at the age of 24 from Maharaja College, Mysore in 1930. Then he worked as a clerk to support his family and then as a teacher in a village school. But he did not like jobs. He wanted to be writer, so he gave up these jobs after some times. He started writing as a journalist. His first novel, Swami and Friends, was published in 1935. The most important event of his life took place in 1935 when he met his future wife, Rajam. He fell in love with her at first sight. Then he went to the girl's father and proposed for marriage. The girl's parents, impressed by his frankness and honesty, agreed to the marriage. He had a daughter, Hema. His wife died in 1939. For 6 years after his terrible loss, Narayan did not write any novel. His major novel, The English Teacher, was preceded by a volume of short stories like Malgudi Days, Dobu and other stories, and The Cyclone and other stories. There are appeared an astrologer Lodger's Day and other stories. His novels, The Guide, received the Sahitya Academy Award. The novel has been filmed. Narayan was awarded Padma Bhushan in 1969. R.K. Narayan is a writer of considerable merit. He observed life in its depth and variety. The character he has portrayed are generally from the middle class society. And Under the Banyan Tree is a story has been taken from Narayan's Under the Banyan Tree and other stories. It is an interesting story about the storyteller Nambi, who has enwrapped truths with his village audience with gripping tales. The gives a graphic mm, author gives up a graphic picture of the village, Somal Nambi's daily routine and his storytelling session, as if by some mutual unannounced agreement, the villagers take upon themselves to cater to Nambi needs for food and clothes in return for the entertaining tales. Nambi is old and eccentric but alert. The turning point in Nambi's life comes when he fails to uh, uh, concoct a story and falls silent. Narayan has painted Nambi and his storytelling sessions with the undercurrent of humor. One feels desolate, however, along with the villagers, to see Nambi fall silent, losing his art of his story, telling forever Malgudi, says a critic, is perhaps the single most entertaining forever. Malgudi says, a critic, perhaps the single most under enduring character of R.K. Narayan, has created. R.K. Narayan published numerous novels, six collections of short stories, two travel books, and four collections of essays, memoir and translation of Indian epics and myths. Narayan passed away on May 13, 2001, and left his literary world in impoverished. Impoverished. Somal was a small village situated deep in the forest, Mempi. Its population was less than there and 300. Describing the village, Narayan says the village Somal, nestling away in the forest track of Mampi, had a population of less than 300. 300 it was in every way village to make the heart of rural reformer sink in its tank. A small expanse of water right in the middle of the village served for drinking, breathing, and washing the cattle, and it bred malaria, thyroid, and heaven knew what else. The cottage sprawled anyhow other. The population used the highway as the refuse ground, and in the backyard of every house, drain water stagnant in green puddles. Such was the village. It is likely that the people of the village were insensitive, but it is more than likely that they ever noticed their surroundings because they lived in a kind of perpetual enchantment. The enchanter was Nambi, the storyteller. He was the aged man about 60, but Nambi has do not no idea of his age. He lived in a little temple at the edge of a village. The temple had in its sanctum a stone image of goddess Shakti. The front portion of the temple was Nambi's home. His only possession was a broom with which he swept the temple. He had also a couple of dhotis. Nambi's personal needs were very few. The villagers gave him his daily food and also clothes whenever he needed. Nambi was illiterate, but he was a great storyteller. He could make up a story at the rate of one a month. Each story took nearly 10 days to narrate. There was a temple. There was a banyan tree in the temple. Its branches spread out in front of the temple. Nambi spent most of his time in the shade of the banyan tree. When he had a story to tell, he would light a lamp in a niche of the banyan tree. The villagers knew what is it meant. They would mm, gather under banyan tree at night and wait for Nambi's begin his story. Before coming out to tell his story, Nambi would sit before the goddess in the sanctum, and with his eyes shut and in deep meditation, he sat there so long as he liked. When he came out, his forehead looked bright with ash and vermilion, and he would take his seat on the stone platform in front of the temple and begin his story in a dramatic manner. Nambi told his story on an epic scale. The first day was taken up in describe the setting of the story. After 2 or 3 days, the village again saw the light in the niche of the and would come for the next part of the story, and this would continue till the story was finished. On the last day, the whole gathering would go into the sanctum and prostrate and prostrate before the goddess. The storytelling by Nami went on for many years. One night, a very strange thing happened. No sooner did Nambi start telling his story than he started fluttering. He couldn't understand what had happened to him. He tried again and again to continue the story, but each time the same thing happened. The audience slipped away by one. For the first time in his life, Nambi realized that he had become old. Next day again, the same thing happened, and 2 days later is still the same. The number of audience had become very less. Nambi realized that there was no use in prolonging the struggle. When the next moon appeared, Nambi lit his lamp in the niche, but very few people turn up at night. Nambi said that he won't tell his story till the whole village came there. And the next day he went through the village shouting, "I have a most wonderful tale to tell tonight. Come one and all. Don't miss it." At night, a large crowd gathered under the banyan tree. People were very happy that the storyteller had regained his power. Uh, when everyone had settled, Nambi came out of the temple. He said, "It is the mother who gives the gift, and it is she who takes away the gift." Nambi is an old man. What is the use of jasmine when it has lost its scent? When what is a lamp for the when all the oil is gone? These are my last words on the earth, and this is my greatest story. The rose and went into the He rose and went into the temple. He lived for few more years and then died. Thus, there is the story entitled as Under the Banyan Tree. Here we should know about R.K. Narayan's story writing. His chief uh, his mostly important articles, important points who Arkinarayan collected or messages us to by the this story under the banyan tree is this that his religious attitude. Is deeply religious. He prays to goddess before the start and after conclusion of each story. He says that it is a goddess that gives him his story. Number two, his art of storytelling. Nambi gave his story dramatic start. The first day went to describe a description of the setting. He would describe the great details or the local of the tale. He would give a detailed description of the king, his palace, his darbar, the ministers, and the subjects. Thus, he in the beginning, Nambi dramatically started to tell his stories. His eccentric behavior sometimes Nambi's behavior would become eccentric. He would sometimes get cross. All of the sudden, he would say, "What do you think I am? Unless I meditate, how can the goddess give me a story? Do you think stories float in the air?" Then he would go to the edge of the forest and sit there looking at the trees. When he loses this power of storytelling, he stops. He sits down for food and walks away the moment he has eaten. It is nothing but the eccentricity. Nambi is highly imaginative, and imaginative people at times become eccentric. Ironic turn in the Nambi's life. Entertains the villagers by his long interesting stories, and Nambi has been doing it for years. But one night he started fumbling as soon as begin his story. He forgets all the story. He can't remember anything of it. He can't understand what has happened to him. Suddenly he realized that he has become old. Thus, he's after this realization, he said, "The jasmine has lost its scent, and the lamp has burnt all its oil." Nambi, the storyteller, used to keep his audience spellbound. They seem to live in a kind of perpetual enhance enchantment. But now the same Nambi is dumbstruck. He can hardly speak a word. He thinks that the mother has taken away her gifts. Thus, the whole story is a very sensuous story, and it is told us that in this life, at the there is some one moment when all of us we feel we are retired, we are getting the age when we are unable to do our daily tasks which were given by the god to us. Thus this is a very interesting and sensuous short story by R.K. Narayan. Thank you.